Power doesn't shout. It doesn't seek attention. It doesn't need permission. Real power walks into a room and rearranges the atmosphere without a word. You've felt it before. That eerie silence when someone dangerous enters, someone you can't read. Their presence feels heavier, like the air gets denser around them. That is not accidental. It's engineered, designed, practiced. Every powerful person, whether a king in a palace or a strategist in a boardroom, builds themselves through ritual, habits. And Machiavelli didn't just study them, he codified them. The first habit is one you'll never notice until you do. They don't react immediately. Most people are addicts of their own emotion. Someone says something triggering, and they flare up like gasoline to a spark. But the powerful? They pause. They delay. Not because they're slow, because they're calculating. Every second of silence is a second of data gathering. They listen. They observe facial twitches, inconsistencies, emotional shifts in the opponent. And then, when they do respond, it's sharp, intentional, clean. This habit of controlled reaction is how they stay 5 steps ahead in every interaction. Because by the time you've finished emotionally reacting, they've already made a mental blueprint of how to break you. Second, they rehearse their silence like a weapon. Silence is not the absence of speech. It's the presence of threat, uncertainty, and power. Weak people feel uncomfortable in silence and rush to fill it. Powerful people don't. They let it stretch. They let others squirm in the discomfort. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must learn when to speak, and more importantly, when not to. Because the person who breaks the silence first is usually the one who's unsure, insecure, or desperate to be understood. And desperation is always weak. The third habit? They carry a narrative. Not a life story, not a resume, a myth. Every powerful person constructs an internal mythos. Something vague but magnetic. You've heard it before. That man built his empire from nothing. Or, she's the one who outsmarted 5 CEOs before she was 30. Whether fully true or partly fabricated doesn't matter. It sticks. People don't follow resumes. They follow legends. Power sustains itself on the aura of mystery. And Machiavelli understood a leader must appear to be more than human. The habit here is in how they speak of themselves. Always just enough to intrigue, never enough to be fully known. Next comes their fourth habit. Their relationship with time is surgical. While others are distracted by urgency and overwhelmed by to-do lists, the powerful act on priority, not pressure. They understand what 99% of people don't, that when you act is often more powerful than what you do. Machiavelli advised princes to delay action until the right moment arrived. Not out of laziness, but because mistimed power is weakness in disguise. They practice non-action as a form of dominance. They let the world move while they wait, and then they strike precisely when all conditions serve their advantage. Fifth, every powerful person learns to dominate their own space. This doesn't just mean body language, though posture, eye contact, and pacing matter. It's deeper. They anchor their presence in the room. They don't shrink. They don't adjust to others. They don't fidget or apologize. Whether they're in a suit or simple clothes, their energy enters before their words. Machiavelli would say that power is recognized long before it is announced. The habit here is stillness. Stillness in the body signals stillness in the mind. And in a world full of frantic movement, stillness radiates command. Sixth, they have a secret escape route. Every powerful person has a habit of withdrawing. This is something most people never understand. Power isn't built in public. It's built in solitude, behind closed doors, in notebooks, in thoughts no one hears. The powerful carve out time to disappear, not to rest, but to recalibrate. They ask, who's trying to influence me? What am I allowing that weakens me? What needs to be adjusted before I re-enter the field? These are the moments that separate strategists from slaves, because everyone is playing a role, but the powerful design the play. Seventh, they speak last, not metaphorically, literally. In any group setting, like a meeting, negotiation, or dinner table, they wait. While others rush to contribute, to be seen as smart, as valuable, the powerful watch. They let others reveal their hand. They let egos collide and unravel. And then, when they speak, it's with full information. The habit here is restraint, and the reward is authority. Because people don't remember who talked the most. They remember who made the final word feel like law. And finally, and this is the eighth habit, they carry invisible knives. No, not weapons. Preparedness. The powerful are never unarmed. Emotionally, strategically, psychologically, they have rehearsed scenarios. If he insults me, I'll smile and flip the frame. If she lies, I'll expose it subtly, not directly. They don't walk into conversations hoping for peace. They enter with the blueprint for war hidden in their back pocket. Machiavelli never said to attack, but he did say to be prepared to. Power is not charisma, it's not money, it's not even dominance, it's structure. And habits are the hidden architecture of the powerful. The more invisible the habit, the stronger the advantage. You can fake charm. You can borrow status. But you cannot fake discipline. Power bleeds through consistency, and habit is its bloodstream. That's why every powerful person's life looks deceptively simple from the outside. They repeat, refine, reduce, not because they are rigid, but because they are efficient. Power is built through subtraction, not addition. The world trains you to scatter your energy. More opinions, more engagement, more presence. But the powerful, they train the opposite. They withdraw energy on purpose. They don't argue about everything. They don't insert themselves everywhere. They know that attention is a currency, and the more you spend it, the less it's worth. So their habit is controlled invisibility. They appear less, but when they do, everyone notices. Machiavelli would call this strategic absence. A ruler who is always seen is a ruler easily dismissed. The moment you become common, you become disposable. Look at the way they speak. That's another overlooked habit, deliberate speech pacing. The powerful do not talk fast. They do not rush their words to match the room. They speak like the world has no choice but to listen. Their pauses are intentional. Their silences have teeth, and their tone rarely shifts. It stays stable, composed, centered. This is how you make people lean in, not by volume or charisma, but by the assumption of authority. Most people try to sound powerful. The powerful speak like they already are. It's not about dominance, it's about certainty. And that's a habit they practice every day. They also build walls, invisible ones. That's the next habit, selective access. The powerful are friendly, but inaccessible. Kind, but distant. You don't know where they are, who they're with, what they're thinking. That ambiguity is not a flaw. It's protection. It keeps others guessing. It makes others respect boundaries they can't even see. Machiavelli knew you do not owe anyone your full truth. You owe the world your strategy. The habit is simple. Never explain too much. Say what's needed. Say it clean. And stop. Next, their relationship with pain. Not the absence of it, the management of it. Everyone suffers. Everyone bleeds. But the powerful do not showcase it for validation. They don't post it. They don't plead with the world for empathy. Instead, they ritualize their pain. They process it privately and weaponize it publicly. They let the pain inform their focus, sharpen their strategy, deepen their hunger. This isn't emotional suppression. It's emotional control. You don't become powerful by avoiding wounds. You become powerful by healing in silence and returning with sharper weapons. Even in their presence, there's a recurring ritual, environmental control. Powerful people don't just enter a space, they adjust it. Lighting, seating, proximity. If they're meeting you, they pick the place. If they're debating, they shift their posture so your body unconsciously mirrors theirs. This is not magic, it's psychology, and they practice it until it becomes second nature. Machiavelli knew whoever controls the setting controls the outcome. The habit isn't about being manipulative, it is about removing randomness. They leave nothing to chance. Another quiet habit, rehearsal of betrayal. Most people are destroyed by backstabbing because they never imagined it. The powerful? They expect it. They simulate it. They ask themselves weekly, what if this person turns on me? What would they use? What would I lose? This doesn't make them paranoid. It makes them prepared. They don't assume loyalty. They test it, slowly, privately. And if someone fails, the exit is quiet. No drama, no explanation, just distance. That's power. Because when you've already accepted betrayal as a possibility, you've disarmed its sting. And finally, their time is guarded like a vault. Every powerful person treats time like a shrinking asset. They don't entertain nonsense. They don't reply to every message. They don't attend events for just showing up. Their calendar is a weapon, not a schedule. And here's the habit. They subtract before they add. Before taking on any new commitment, they ask what needs to be removed. Because true power isn't how much you can hold. It's how much you can decline. Machiavelli would say a ruler who cannot say no is not a ruler at all. What makes these habits so dangerous is that they're invisible. You won't see them listed in self-help books. You won't hear them taught by motivational speakers, because they're not meant for everyone. They are for those who want not just to survive in a chaotic world, but to bend it. Power doesn't just change how you act, it changes how people imagine you. And that's no accident. It is cultivated. One of the most consistent habits among the powerful is this. They leave blank spaces in people's minds. They never give away the whole picture. They let others fill in the gaps, project their fears, their admiration, their assumptions. And because people fear the unknown, this mystery becomes armor. This is the Machiavellian habit of curated ambiguity. Powerful people never clarify everything, not because they're hiding, but because they know the illusion of depth is more influential than actual openness. When you tell people exactly who you are, they categorize you. They box you in. But when you hold back just enough, you become a mirror. And mirrors are dangerous because they reflect not who you are, but what others fear or desire most. That brings us to the next habit. They punish slowly. You'll never see a powerful person react in the heat of the moment. When they're insulted, betrayed, or provoked, they don't lash out. They absorb. They file it away. And then they wait. Because immediate retaliation is emotional. Delayed response is strategic. Machiavelli warned you must injure in such a way that you need not fear their revenge. The powerful understand this. They know the damage must be clean, final, and preferably quiet. And to do that, you must wait until the other side is most vulnerable. Another habit? They disguise their ambition. The world punishes those who appear too hungry for power. So the powerful develop a second skin, one of modesty, lightheartedness, or even distraction. They pretend not to care, while behind the scenes they orchestrate moves 10 steps ahead. This is not deception for fun. It's survival. If your ambition is too visible, others will make it their mission to stop you. So instead, you smile, you nod, and you act only when the board is ready. This is how power expands without resistance, by disarming the room first. And then there's the habit of staying underestimated. Many powerful people choose to look less competent than they are. It confuses enemies. It relaxes competitors. And most importantly, it creates the element of shock. When they strike, no one saw it coming. That element of surprise multiplies impact. It's not about theatrics. It's about letting others lower their guard and then moving like thunder. You can't be seen as a threat if they think you're harmless. And you can't be predicted if you behave like an anomaly. Machiavelli himself said it is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. The powerful make their presence feel earned, not expected. Another deeply embedded habit? Selective vulnerability. This one's subtle. Weak people overshare. They confuse emotional dumping with intimacy. But the powerful know when and to whom they reveal weakness. They show just enough to be relatable, to earn trust, or to manipulate perception, never more. Their vulnerability is a tool, not a need. They don't share to be understood. They share to influence understanding. The moment a weakness no longer serves a strategic purpose, it disappears from the conversation. What looks like honesty is often positioning. Let's talk about their relationship with solitude. Solitude is not a break. It's an operating room. The powerful schedule time alone not for relaxation, but for recalibration. In silence, they observe themselves. They detach from the noise, and in that stillness, they restructure plans, rehearse conversations, analyze threats. It's not me time. It's war preparation in disguise. That's why their moves feel so precise, because by the time you see the action, it has already been sharpened in the shadows. The world runs on reaction. Power grows in preparation. And perhaps the most dangerous habit of all? They don't seek fairness. They seek advantage. That doesn't mean they're cruel. It means they don't wait for things to be fair before moving. They don't complain about unequal treatment. They calculate how to benefit from it. This mindset changes everything. Where others see obstacles, they see leverage. When others cry injustice, they ask how to twist this. Fairness is an illusion. Advantage is a choice. And the ones who rise are not the ones who ask for better rules. They are the ones who learn to break them quietly. None of these habits are accidental. They are practiced, refined, and internalized until they become second nature. And the reason they work is simple, because most people do the opposite. They talk too much, react too fast, show too much, need too much. The powerful have inverted every weakness into a ritual. That's why they're unshakable, not because they were born superior, but because they were willing to act unnaturally until those acts became natural. The final habit is the one that stitches everything else together. It's not flashy, it's not loud, and it doesn't impress people immediately, but it terrifies them eventually. They never crave validation. Not in public, not in private, not in silence, not in crisis. Powerful people have trained themselves to operate in a psychological vacuum, a space where praise means nothing and criticism means even less. This doesn't mean they are emotionless. It means their compass is internal. Their moves don't wobble because someone disapproves. Their self-image doesn't swell because someone claps. That makes them unshakable. The man who needs applause becomes a slave to the crowd. The one who doesn't becomes their master. This detachment is not natural. It must be forged. And most people never do it because they're addicted to the drip of being seen. The powerful break that addiction early. They know every time you need someone to see you, you hand them a piece of your control. But here's the dark truth. None of these habits are sustainable without pain. You don't learn emotional discipline without first being emotionally humiliated. You don't master silence unless you've once spoken and regretted it. You don't become strategic unless life has punished you for being too honest, too eager, too open. Powerful people aren't born Machiavellian. They are made, slowly, painfully, and with full awareness of what they had to kill inside themselves to survive. And that leads to a bitter irony. Most powerful people were once too soft for the world. That's why they became dangerous. Because they were forced to study power not as a tool, but as a shield. They watched how charm manipulated them, how flattery distracted them, how loyalty was used against them. And one day they stopped playing along. They learned the laws, the angles, the patterns. They learned how to calculate fear, how to speak in silence, how to push a threat without ever raising their voice. And from that point on, they became impossible to control. This is what you must understand. True power is not built in the spotlight. It is constructed in the shadows. Not with noise, but with precision. Not by being loved, but by being respected without explanation. Most people think they want to be powerful. What they really want is approval with a crown on top. But real power doesn't feel like that. Real power is lonely. It's quiet. It's built on restraint. It's forged by watching everything, while saying almost nothing. You will never see the truly powerful argue to win, because they've already won before you opened your mouth. You'll never see them rush to prove themselves, because their proof isn't in their tone. It's in their influence. Power isn't about being followed. It's about bending space without touching anything. These 8 habits, if studied and internalized, will gradually shift how people respond to your presence, without you needing to explain yourself, defend yourself, or even raise your voice. You'll notice people pause before speaking to you. You'll see how fewer people question your boundaries. You'll start to feel that quiet leverage when you enter a room, the kind that doesn't come from volume or flash, but from controlled gravity. That's what Machiavelli understood better than anyone. He never told you to appear strong. He told you to be untouchable. So as you walk through your world today, ask yourself not how you can look powerful, but how you can practice one of these habits, even subtly. Remain unreadable in your motives. Say less when you're expected to explain. Observe longer than you're comfortable. React only when it advantages you. Break the need for validation before it breaks you. Because in a world ruled by noise, the most powerful weapon is controlled silence. And the man who masters himself needs no audience.